Okay, so this tutorial is how to do the concept builder. We're going to start with periodic trends. Okay, so the first one is ranking the elements in terms of like how large they are, so largest to smallest. So on the periodic table, the size of an atom increases going top to bottom. So in this case, BE would be my smallest, and BA is going to be my largest, which would make calcium my medium. If I'm going left to right, okay, so left to right on the periodic table, the size tends to decrease. So then oxygen would be my smallest, and beryllium would be my largest. So carbon would be in the middle. Okay, for ionization energy. Ionization energy increases going left to right on the periodic table, and it decreases going top to bottom. So basically, the elements that are furthest to the right and highest up are going to have the highest ionization. So that's going to be fluorine here. The ones that are lowest down and furthest to the left are going to have the lowest ionization energy. So chlorine's going to be in the middle. So if I'm going left to right, whichever one is furthest to the right is going to have the highest ionization energy. So oxygen here. Beryllium is going to be the lowest because it's furthest to the left. Carbon's going to be in the middle. Okay. And the last one, electronegativity, follows the same pattern as ionization energy. So electronegativity is basically how good of a job does an atom do attracting electrons to itself, so that if I'm going further to the right, electronegativity increases. So oxygen's going to have the highest electronegativity here. Be is going to have the lowest. Carbon's going to be in the middle. And if I'm going top to bottom, then my electronegativity decreases. So the highest one would be the one that's closest to the top, lowest, closest to the bottom. Calcium's in the middle. All right, so that's periodic trends. For ionic bonding, so for ionic bonding, there's going to be a couple resources that are going to be helpful to have open for this. So if you go to Google Classroom, and one thing that's going to be helpful to have open is the periodic table. Another thing that's going to be helpful to have open is chemical bonding notes. And specifically, slide 15 or 16, I believe. 16, okay? Because as you're going through the ionic bonding concept builder, you're going to have to know valence electrons. So if I go to slide 16 on chemical bonding notes, then it tells me at the very top of the column how many valence electrons that element has. Okay, so in the first section, it says ID, the ionic bond. Basically, for any two elements to form an ionic bond, one of them has to be a metal and one of them has to be a nonmetal. So the other thing that's helpful to have open is slide 9 on the chemical bonding notes, because then you can tell, okay, which one of these is a metal, which one's a nonmetal. So if you reference that slide, you'll find out that aluminum is a metal and phosphorus is a nonmetal. Calcium is a metal, fluorine is a nonmetal. Carbon and hydrogen are both nonmetals, and then phosphorus and chlorine are both nonmetals, so that neither of these two would form ionic bonds. So that's how you do that one. For ion formation, if you look at the symbol up here in parentheses, it says 17Cl. So I'm going to put 17 red dots, and I'm going to start from the center and work my way out. So 1, 2. Okay, so that's going to be 10. So I need 7 more. Okay. Valence electrons are the number of electrons in the outer energy level. So it looks like the outer energy level is this one, but if the energy level is empty, you don't consider it as part of the atom. So the outermost energy level would be this one that I'm tracing right here. So in that energy level, there are 7 red dots. So that means that there's 7 valence electrons. But you can also double check the number of valence electrons by looking at slide 16 on chemical bonding notes. If I look at chlorine, it's right here. At the very top of that column, it says 7. So that's how I can kind of confirm. Okay. The next part is figuring out what sort of ion this element is going to form. An ion is a charged atom. So the first part is, so anytime an atom forms an ion, it either gains or loses electrons. So to determine if something's going to gain or lose an electron, you look at the number of valence electrons. So if this element has 1 to 3 valence electrons, it's going to lose. And if it has 5 to 7 valence electrons, it's going to gain. So this element has 7 valence electrons, so it's going to gain. And it's going to gain as many electrons as it has open spots for. Okay? So, whoops. So this one has 1 open spot, so it's going to gain 1 electron. If it gains, it becomes negative because it's gaining an electron, which is a negatively charged particle. Anytime it loses, it's going to become more positive. So if this element lost 1, it would become a positive 1. But if it gains 1, it becomes a negative 1. Okay, so that's how you do that one. And then the last one. So the first part is looking at how many valence electrons do these elements have. So you're going to draw as many red dots as there are valence electrons for that element. Okay, so aluminum has 3, oxygen has 6. The way that I know that, okay, if you look at this slide, okay, oxygen's right here, it's got a 6 at the very top of the column. Aluminum's right here, it's got a 3 at the top of its column. Okay, so the donor is always going to be the element that has less valence electrons. So aluminum has less valence electrons, so it's going to be the donor. The donor is going to donate however many available valence electrons it has. So aluminum has 3 valence electrons, it's going to get rid of all 3. Okay, the acceptor is going to accept as many as it has open spots for. So oxygen has 2 open spots. It's going to accept 2 electrons. Okay, this part is the part that's a little bit more tricky, and I think it's helpful to do this by looking at charges. Okay, so I'm going to bring up this. Okay, so aluminum has a +3 charge. oxygen has a -2 charge. So basically what it's asking is how many of each element are you going to need in order to get your charges to cancel? And the way that I found the charges is by looking at the periodic table. Okay, so oxygen's right here. At the very top, it says -2. Aluminum's right here. At the very top, it says +3. So right off the bat, my charges do not cancel because I don't have the same number of positive charges as I have negative charges. So it looks like I need more negative charges. So I'm going to have to add another oxygen, but every oxygen comes with 2 negative charges. So that puts me at 4 negatives, so I'm going to need some more positives. Okay, but every aluminum comes with 3 positive charges. So that's a total of 6 positives. And then if I add 1 more oxygen, that is 3 oxygens with 6 total negative charges. Now my charges finally cancel out because I have the same number of positives as I have negatives. So if I go back here, it took me 2 aluminums and 3 oxygens to get my charges to cancel. So in my formula, it's going to say Al2O3. All right,